What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? I'm JC Owens, and this is Rock My World, episode 29, The Walled Garden. Now, for those of you who don't know what a walled garden is, it's a globalist technocrat concept that refers to a closed ecosystem where a company can tightly control your access to their hardware, software, content, user data, the whole works, right? Like, okay, Fender's, like most of you have heard of what Fender has like been doing lately with the lawsuits and the ceases and desists and all that kind of stuff. Well, their recent strategic shift, if you will, has been, about creating this walled garden situation. And they're not the only company doing it. Many companies are doing it. But for for our purposes, we're going to focus on Fender, right? So, look, their launching of their interconnected Fender Studio Pro 8 ecosystem and their recent hyper-aggressive intellectual property rights enforcement, all aligns with this walled garden concept, right? It's designed to basically enslave you to their platform, right? Like, if they control all this and they keep it from being integratable with other systems outside theirs, then they can lock you in. If you've ever been someone who messes with cordless drills, for instance, you like to build things like I do, right? All right. Cordless drill companies do this. They lock you into their proprietary battery system, right? Well, that's pretty much how they want to do this, only a little bit more complex, right? Through the new digital ID systems that are coming through and all this other digital stuff, they're going to be able to have way more control as well as way more ability to monitor what is going on with their products, who's using them, all this kind of stuff. And by creating this walled garden situation, they basically make it impossible for you to leave. Anybody who's, anybody who's been dealing with the cordless drill situation will know, once you get all these cordless drills and cordless saws and all these kind of things, you get tied into one brand, you're talking about many thousands of dollars to change to a different charging system and a different battery. This is the same problem you will run into with these new these new ecosystems that they're creating, right? The Fender Studio Pro 8 has, it's great as far as the kind of stuff it can offer and let you do, but it's going to come at a heavy price. You're not going to be able to just pick up and leave when you want to and go over to another system and just port that over. Leaving will not only mean having to spend way more money and replace everything that you had before, so it will jive with the new programs and stuff, but you'll have to abandon your digital work files, custom backing tracks, multi-track sessions hosted by Fender, and more, right? You'll lose all that. You won't be able to carry that over to, say, Gibson's digital platform, ecosystem, whatever you'd like to call it. And this aligns with a larger push for a global walled garden ecosystem that all these will connect to, right? They will be able to control everything that goes on with their equipment. If they don't like what you say, they'll just take your subscription away. They'll take your subscription away like they're already doing to people inside the gaming sphere. If any of you play video games, I don't really get to play video games that much anymore. I don't have time. But, I am aware of what's going on, and, there's been people already been kicked off. They go out and pay hundreds of dollars for the system. And then, another 60 to 100 for a game, and whatever kind of extra support you might need for it. like, you know, buying a Game Pass and this kind of stuff, and then if you say the wrong thing online, they can just take it away like that, right? Imagine them doing that to, like, all this hard work you and your band have put in, right? Say you went through, you know, you spent, you know, a month, 3 months, like, recording an album, and all of a sudden, like, Fender decides that your band, like, did something 10 years ago that's going to look bad on their brand image, and they decide to pull it. Well, now you've lost, like, control of all that. And if you've, like, been watching the guitar space lately, like, you'll see a lot of these new smart guitars coming out, you're going to wind up in that same kind of issue, using a lot of their proprietary stuff. I think it was, like, I can't remember what the brand I saw just the other day, but they have all these little modules, these little plug-in modules, look kind of like the old memory sticks and the expandable memory sticks for the Nintendo 64. For those of you old as me, like, you'll remember that had the little red top in it. You pop it in. Yeah, they kind of look like that. You pop it into the back of the guitar, and it changes the options you have. You know. You'll have to excuse me. The fire truck just went by, I think. Figures every time you go to record something. Every time. But anyway, this is the, you know, this is aligning with the larger plan by the folks at the WEF, Davos, CFR, etc. You know, as well as within our government. Let's not forget that, like, all of our governments aligning for this particular purpose. But, like, you know, if you get tied up into these things, it might be near impossible getting out, is my point. You know, this is stuff that, you know, is going to be really important in the future. You know, this deciding who owns what. I mean, it always has been, right? Deciding who owns the music, who gets to take it where, who has the right to take it where, and all that. I'm sure y'all have seen my post on the Ozzy Osbourne situation and the fact that they're going to send his digital avatar around touring, very much like Kiss has done, or is in process of doing at least. You know, this future that we are going into is going to be a very tightly controlled one, at least in the mainstream. At very least in the mainstream. But if they keep moving forward with this kind of stuff, and, you know, they're doing court cases internationally, sending cease and desist orders internationally, like, this is just going to, you know, it's going to bring that little net in just a little bit tighter. It's going to be way harder for indie folks to even get off the ground. You know, we're already kind of in a situation where you kind of got to be from a pretty well-to-do family and almost need a trust fund in order to fund your artistic exploits. You know, some experts have, you know, coined it as a techno-feudalism. And in a lot of ways, that is exactly where we're headed. Exactly where we're headed. If you look at the huge gap between most people and just the understanding of this kind of stuff that's going on, you know, a lot of folks still think that, like, the stuff I'm saying is just my opinion, man. But it's not. You know, the people who are actually running things like our government and the economy and, you know, international trade and these giant mega corporations like Fender are all, like, you know, they're all making moves towards this stuff. It ought to be clear as day for anyone who has done the necessary reading. You know, I hate to throw out a no true Scotsman's fallacy like that, but the truth is, like, if you've done, like, all that reading, it does become rather difficult to, you know, deny where all this is going. This is why I've shared that reading list so many times. It is vital that people do the research, and most people don't. Most people don't, and because most people don't, it's going to create, you know, along with the economic situation we have going on right now, the price of fuel and the fact they don't want you driving cars and things, like, the scales are getting tipped, like, really off balance. the average person is not going to be able to, really do much. Robots and AI are rapidly moving in to take a lot of the middle class jobs, and it won't be long before robots start putting most of the people out of these factory jobs and everything else too. And your ability to learn, adapt, and be up on all this stuff is going to be a great it's going to be a huge factor in who is going to be at the top and who's going to be at the bottom. Those who don't really know what's going on, can't adapt, it's going to be rough, folks. It's going to be super rough. But I think we'll stop there today with my ramblings. I'll talk to you folks later. Take care. Much love and peace out.